This session is focused on how do you use social media for business growth. Everybody here uses social media, but they don't. Do you use it well to grow your businesses, or is it primarily for personal use? And if the intent is business, we have this incredible panel of presenters who are experts in this whole arena. I will begin with Marina Speck, who is German-Spanish and Argentine, or whatever country you would like. But Marina is the head of McCann for Europe, McCann World Group for Europe. And it's a PR advertising company, right, primarily. So at the last summit in Madrid, Marina did such a great job to show that the internet is so rapid and there's so many people in it that if you don't use it to grow your market, you're silly. But if you are in it, you have to do it well. So this session is about how do you do it well, okay? So we're going to begin with Marina. All right, please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you, Irene. It works. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad you chose us over shopping. So that's great. Let's see if we get started. So that's what we're going to talk about, using breakthrough social media to drive business growth. I mean, it's 2 hours and 23 minutes what consumers currently spend, we all spend daily on social media, which is about 1/3 of our time online. It's $207 billion that brands have spent on social media in 2024. That's a huge part of the overall digital spend these days. And I thought that the best way to show you and talk about this is not in theory, but to show you two different cases, very different uses of social media to drive business growth. And those two brands are two brands that I personally love. One is Duolingo, the world-famous language learning app, and the other one is Loewe, which is one of the world's leading luxury brands. And the reason why I chose these two cases is to show to you how many different jobs social media can do in terms of growing the business. Duolingo is a startup that has based their entire marketing on social media, and Loewe is a much more traditional company. Let's talk about Duolingo first. So it is, as I said, the world's most downloaded app, a language learning app. This company was founded by Carnegie Mellon University professor Luis von Ahn and his graduate student Severin Hacker. They founded it in 2009. They started with VC capital, and they went public in 2021. What makes Duolingo different? Does anybody use Duolingo here or has used? Yeah, good. So you know that what makes it different is that it has this gamified, fun approach to learning, instead of making it serious, boring, etc. And to do that, they have created these two infamous characters, the green owl, Duo, that's him, and a little purple-haired teen, Lily. And those two guys chase you constantly, and they remind you of your duties, your tasks of doing this, and they practice with you. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I for sure cannot see that from here. So, there's a microphone. Does this work? Yeah, thank you. So the challenge, build brand love, increase daily engagement, and attract a younger social-first audience without spending big money on advertising. These people have never done advertising except first time last year they did a spot for a very big spot for a big sporting event in the US. The creative strategy, they leaned into humor and pop culture. They created Duo the Owl, as I said, a very dramatic tone shift from educational to entertaining, reactive content. They react to cultural things happening every day, and they don't push the product. Big learning. The impact, well, the impact is massive. The most important impact, by the way, is that the company's market cap went from 2.2 billion in 22 to 18.6 billion this last Monday. I checked it before coming to Berlin. TikTok followers from 50K to 16 million in less than 2 years, 37 million active daily users, 10 million paid subscribers, 38% revenue growth. What can you learn from Duolingo is that it's a company that clearly gets culture. It's a platform that taps into culture. What they do is content at the speed of culture. And they do it with humor. And they take a lot of risks on a day-to-day basis, small little risks. And they try and learn and improve. And they have bet on a hero character. But you know what? I'm going to show you a video that explains all this beautifully. So how brave is that? You create a character and you make it die so that your users are going to engage so much until he really relives and brings him back to life. That is modern social media, and they do it brilliantly. By the way, they do it with an in-house team that is able to create content in a matter of 15 minutes, and that turns around stuff really fast. It's key. Now, the second case I want to talk to you about is completely the opposite. Because you're now thinking, yeah, come on, she's talking about a startup, you know, it's a different, no. This is one of the most traditional brands and companies you can think about. By the way, it's one of the world's oldest luxury brands. It's Loewe. It's 178 years old. It started as a small leather factory, leather shop in Spain. And by the way, it has that name because Mr. Enrique Loewe Rüssberg, a German, went to Madrid and bought the company. That's how it's called Loewe. He named it after himself. So Loewe became a diversified luxury conglomerate, and it was acquired by LVMH in '96. But it's really not until the arrival of Jonathan Anderson, who was the creative director of Loewe in the last decade, that the company has been turned on its feet. And how they did that, how do you rejuvenate a 170-year-old luxury brand with social media without damaging the heritage and the preciousness of what they sell? So what they have done is they have engaged very much with social media. They have done it in a way that they have made fun of themselves, but in an elegant way. So they started by making fun of how do you pronounce Loewe, because, by the way, no one can pronounce that name, right? So they tapped into TikTok humor, tapped into modern culture, pop culture. And you know what they did, which is most important? They don't take themselves so seriously as a luxury brand. And I think that's key. The impact has been phenomenal for this company. It is a massive success. They've had higher purchase intent, not just across Gen Z, which would be obvious, but across all age groups. They have 2.3 million followers on TikTok, which is unheard of from a traditional premium luxury brand. And you can see the number of likes, etc. And what they do is they create platform native creativity. So another learning, you don't take ad campaigns and adapt them to social media. That doesn't work. You do platform native creative content and work. And by the way, that work needs to be different, whether it's for TikTok or for Insta or for Facebook or for LinkedIn, let's say. There's another beautiful video. I'll play it real fast to respect time. So successful has the work under Anderson been that he, as some of you may know, has been named the creative director of Dior 3 months ago. So that's a massive success story. And I'll leave you with 7 takeaways for you. So 1, be strategic and intentional. Your content needs to link back to your brand, obviously, and your business objectives. Be a platform native. TikTok is not the same as Insta, and you need to think of different creative solutions for the different platforms. Create content at the speed of culture, and don't be afraid. Take creative risks. If you want to be part of the cultural conversation, you have to take those risks. Emotion, authenticity, and credibility are absolutely key. To be humorous is one thing. To say things that nobody believes from you is a different thing. Leverage AI to accelerate content production, but without losing the human touch. There are amazing Gen AI tools out there now to be able to produce content very fast and of very good quality. Partner with creators and let them lead. Don't be a brand that hires influencers and pretends to control them. You cannot control them. You guide them, you give them frameworks, but you have to give them a certain freedom to lead. And finally, measure and optimize. Measure and optimize. Measure and optimize. Fast, fast, fast. Thank you. Oh, one final thing. In case there's B2B ladies here, this also works with B2B. I just put that there so you know. We don't have time, but if you want to check out a really strong B2B social, leveraging social for growth example, check out GoDaddy, fantastic example. And there you can see how this works. Why it works is if you apply this, it's because you're either remarkable or invisible, but you have to make a choice. And now, thank you.
Thank you. Most of the women here who are entrepreneurs don't have resources. Excuse me? Okay. They don't have the resources that Loewe and Duolingo have. So what can they do to make their brand resonate? They may not have a creative person who can, design a moment that can go viral. So one of the things I gathered from you is you have to do this constantly and regularly. It's not something that you do, once a week or whatever.
Several times a day.
Okay.
Is the honest answer. This is how fast it is. But you can do this with very small, lean teams. Duolingo is a startup that started with nothing, and they started this with one person, their entire social activity. You can do this with one freelancer, Irene. That is the truth.
Okay, so that could be a win-win for the freelancer and for you if it takes off, right? How do you measure?
Well, you measure engagement and you measure how much time people spend with your content, which is super important. We actually prioritize engagement over following because following means nothing. In today's world, people give likes to everything pretty much without thinking much about it. And whereas engagement is of course, massively important. And that's what you measure. And then you measure social sentiment. There are a lot of tools out there to measure social sentiment and to understand what the conversation is being around your brand, right? And the conversation isn't always positive, Irene, but that's a good thing. Because when you are loved or liked or followed, you can't expect to be popular all the time.
Right.
As a brand. Or as a personal brand either.
Right. Okay. Speed. Take a risk. Be creative and use a creative somewhere. And there are lots of them. Young ones. So the question that Marina raised earlier is what you do for Instagram is not the same thing that you do for the other platforms. So now we have somebody who is the senior advisor to the COO of Meta. And, she deals with a company that has a lot of the platforms we all use. Before this, she was vice president for all of EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And before that, she led the effort for Central Europe, doing business development. And so, lead us, Ms. Angie Gifford. Please welcome Angie. Tell us which platforms to use. How do we choose?
So, first of all, thank you, Irene, for having me. It's an absolutely pleasure, and I'm super, super proud of this wonderful group of female entrepreneurs, SMEs. thought leaders, and most important, get stuff done, shakers and makers. And that's, I think, what we need. We need people who have the will to go, to get things done, and to a certain degree also change the world we're living in. So really, really great to be here, and I have 15 minutes, I have only 15 minutes, to show you a little bit and tell you a little bit how our businesses that we work with grow their businesses, brand awareness that we also talk about, and Irene asked me to sprinkle a little bit of actionable tips for you in my presentation too. So let's start with who we are and who we serve. And if the clicker would work, that would really help, but it's because it's an amazing number I'm going to show you. 3.4 billion people use one of our platforms every single day. And when I talk about the platforms, you can see it. It's Facebook, it's Messenger, it's Instagram, and it's WhatsApp. I'm a big WhatsApp fan. 3 billion monthly active users on WhatsApp. So really great number, but also a Facebook app. Many people said, isn't the Facebook app dead? You know, the blue app, isn't that for old people? We have 7% growth since December last year and 6% growth on Instagram. So they are definitely not declining, they are growing. Engagement is growing. And we have a new app that you probably know, Threads. We have 350 million Threads users right now on a monthly basis. So, with almost half of the population in the world using at least one of our apps, you know, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier, of course, to do connecting people and give everybody a voice. And they're staying there to be entertained, to find something new like you are, but also to do business on our apps. So, and if you look why they're staying and why they're doing business with us, because the applications really, really work. And I just want to demiss something here on, they're doing all the advertisement and they're making so much money and they're not caring about the SMEs and the entrepreneurs. 200 million businesses we're working with globally. 180 million businesses pay nothing to work with us. The remaining 20 million, 19 of them pay less than $5 a month. And with the remaining last million of businesses, we do the biggest chunk of our advertising revenue. So I really would like to, to say that this is our mission. Also to give small and medium businesses a chance to have, access to sophisticated AI-powered advertising tool. And you can always say, this is all great, but show me the money or show me the numbers. And here are the numbers I want to show you. Every dollar that is invested on the platform creates, without using Advantage Plus, that's one of our advertising tools, just the regular advertiser tools that we have there, basically creates $3.71 US. And if you use AI-powered advertising, you get a return on ad spend of $4.52 US, which is an increase of 22%. So I think that's a pretty good number, I would say. But ladies, and also some gentlemen here, it's also important what are the trends, what's really happening. For you, now comes the tips and tricks. Reels is super, super important. If you put Reels in your advertisement or in your post, whatever, if you're an advertiser or if you're a brand, the closure rate is more likely to be on 90%. That really people get engaged and at the end of the day also buy. Video, 60% of all the time spent in Instagram and Facebook is spent in video formats. But don't forget, your customers have a ruthless thumb. And after 1.6 seconds, and you are not engaged with your video that you created, they're going to click you away. So it's super important. Reels, video consumption, that's really the way to go. And another way to go is business messaging. Really, really taking off very, very nicely. We have now 600 million messaging conversation happening between people and businesses on WhatsApp, on Messenger, on Instagram Direct. APAC is leading. Really great, followed by the US, but also EMEA is want to be front of the pack messaging, and I have a very good case later for you, is really also a great tool here. So, seeing is believing, right? So we brought some customer cases. So the first one I want to show you, and I hope it's shown here, yeah, is this, is Dior. So they wanted to drive high purchase consideration during one of the most exciting, powerful sales season in the Middle East, Ramadan. They basically said, hey, what can we do? They used an AI-driven solution to display those items from their product catalog for which Meta algorithm, they gave it away. They gave the responsibility away to an algorithm that Meta algorithm thought this is the right product for the right person at the right time, and really had a great result. They had 5 times more views, and they also had 81% lower cost per view. And we did an A and B test, the Bau business versus this, what they used. It really shows that AI for them made the difference. And then I wanted to ask you, who knew that July 29th is the International Lipstick Day? I had no clue about that, honestly. But then I learned from Clarence, Angie, it's the lipstick day, and we want to do one thing very special in France, and we want to target the French customers who opted in WhatsApp messaging. And the campaign included a very nice National Lipstick Day greeting, followed by a prompt. So a prompt, and then you could choose lipstick color, you want to be lip plumbing, the glossy stuff, and so on and so on. And then you get a customized video and immediately being taken also to their website. And hey, the learning from this case is they did email before. They had 90% more opening rate of the WhatsApp. They had 4.5 times higher opening rate than basically on the email that they sent out, and 7 times bigger conversations rate than an email. So what does it show us? You need, and all of you need the clients where they are. If they don't read your email, you need to find other social channels to really meet them and make business with them. So let's dig a little bit deeper. We had this conversation this morning. I really love what Anna was saying. AI is the fastest adoption of any technology we have seen. And we have been in the AI business for quite a long time. And this is not the advertising part now. But 2006, when you used Facebook in 2006, guess what? Your feed was already driven by AI. We have a fundamental research center in Paris, the FAIR Center, AI Research Center. It marks now its 10th anniversary. And so we have been in the business of building AI for a long time. And of course, we're using it ourselves. All the advertisement tools, as I showed you, that had the wonderful result, that's our own tools that we built on the Llama model. So I am a strong believer in drink your own champagne, eat your own dog food, do it yourself, also before you give it to our customers. And that brings me to my next slide. Very cute llama, right? Yeah, that's really our great foundation model, I would say. Which is open sourced. And that's another thing that I'm pretty proud of, because as you can see, open source has a big partner ecosystem. So you build an open source system, the foundational model, and then you invite a lot of partners to build their solution, their application on this model. So it's really open to everyone. And I was standing on a similar panel in Paris in February. We had 700 million downloads. Already we have 1.2 billion downloads. So it's really a showing, that this is a great tool and has a lot of so-called follower and also people who really appreciate it, what we are doing there. And it's including multimodality. Who don't know what multimodality is, it's basically speech, text, image. You can basically give your prompt, give your command in different shapes and in different formats. I'm running out of time. That's a very short example here from Shopify. They use Llama and their own models to step change the organization of the internal data. So now comes one of my favorite videos, and I really hope it works, because it's what we're doing, automatic video dubbing. We're starting in Spanish. Spanish goes into English, and that will allow more people to see the content that they want to see in their native language. And I really hope that this video is going to work. So I think it's a great example how AI benefits also social connections and really tears down the burden of language. So I think this is something, Irene, we should think about for next year, how we're going to integrate that in your wonderful summit. So I'm going to rush because, as I said, I'm out of time. I want to talk quickly about the metaverse, just a couple words, because I heard it yesterday on the summit in Madrid. You talked about the metaverse. And I was like, yes. And it's still there, guys. There's a lot of talking, okay, what is the metaverse? Is it going away? And so on and so on. So first, as Meta, we want to build the artificial general intelligence that really reaches, so AI should reach human capability on a broad range of tasks. You remember the Thai food that Anna said this morning? That's what I'm talking about. And then, of course, secondly, we want to use that power to empower the metaverse. Really, you immerse in a virtual reality room. So we have 3 strategies. Foundational model, Llama, super, super important, powerful open source. We have the applications. Your assistant, your agent is nothing else but an application. That's also important to understand. And last but not least, we have the hardware. And that brings me to my last part of the presentation, the wearables. So you probably think that you're never going to have, AI basically on your nose as in terms of glasses. Well, we have it already. The Ray-Ban Meta glasses are AI glasses. You can take photos, you can take videos, and you can also ask with Hey Meta many, many different topics you want to ask. Which dinner can I pair with that wine? Where's a good coffee shop next to this place that I'm visiting? And so on and so on. Because we're strong believer that at the end of the day, you don't want to have your phone, this device, that device. You want to have everything in your glasses or in any other device that you carry with you. So that's the strategy I talked last 14 and a half minutes, I think it was about. We will continue with mixed reality. Don't forget, these are the big glasses, the Oculus 3, that you really dive into virtual reality. Then, of course, with Meta AI, which I talked about, and Llama. The Ray-Ban Meta glasses, if you haven't tried them out, really try them. They're absolutely fantastic. And now I have a little video, and that's my last video, I promise, about the new glasses that we have, the Orion glasses. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see, the future of AI will still be about connecting people, and that's the most important thing. But this connection will also drive growth for businesses in the new area enabled by AI. So please, let's build the future of connections together. Thank you so much.
So, Angie, I have a Bobo question. Should you have the same message in all the platforms? In other words, if you post it on Facebook, should you put the same thing in Instagram? Or if you post it on Instagram, you put in, what are the differences? Do you have to decide which platform to use?
So that's the beauty of AI. I always describe it, and that's very plain vanilla here, ladies, like a slot machine. So you basically, when you do advertisement, you put the coin in and you put the arm down, and then you let the slot machine, AI, decide where is the best use of that money. Is it in Facebook? Is it in Instagram? Is it Instagram with Reels? They help to do the creative. So all of that, Irene, that's the beauty of AI, is done with AI much, much simpler than it has been, like you said, a year ago. So AI really, really changed the advertising business within the last 12 to 18 months.
And speaking of advertising, thank you, Angie. When I asked Marina, I need somebody who understands consumers, consumer trends. She goes, you have to have my friend Monica Schultz. She is an advertising maven and with lots and lots of experiences. She's in a company called Trend One. She does a lot of corporate strategy building. So how do we connect with the consumers?
That's a very good question. I also have the privilege to work on several boards, which helps me to look at different companies and also look at the different strategies, how they deal with social media. And you alluded to it before. Big companies, of course, work different than smaller companies, but they all have the same starting point. Where's my presentation? Can you help me, Larry? Ah, there it is. Good, thank you. I think, as we already said, there's an evolving role of social media and customer engagement and marketing. And people who still believe just put something on TV, and I'm still talking to people who believe that, this is not happening anymore. And social media profoundly changed the work we are doing business with customers. Today, it's much more as such that the customers themselves shape your brand and shape the way you communicate with them. You cannot just decide at a desk and say, this is what I'm going to do. You're going to get feedback from your customers, which is good in some cases, because especially if you're still trying to learn, I think in some cases it's really good if you get customer feedback, even if it's negative. And you can advertise with small budgets. And some companies I know who are really small, or which are really small, also do organic social media. So you don't have to have money from the beginning, but you can try and learn. And I think it's also important because our times are so uncertain. A lot of people go to brands because they want to have trust, they want to have guidance, and they follow brands because they have the feeling they need something in their surroundings which is positive for them. So, and what are the things that didn't change? Because as I always hear, oh, AI, and now everything is done by machines and technology. And by the way, Marina, I have to go a bit to the side so that I don't turn my back to you. So I still believe that strong brands are really important. And strong brands is not something you can just do in a second. You have to be strategic, and you heard it in Marina's summary. You have to be clear about what your brand stands for and what you want to communicate. And it's not something you can just cook up or ask AI. This is something you have to do, and you need brand experts for that as well, because it's something which is very structured and very strategic. And believe it or not, marketing can be very strategic, and KPIs are also very important. And what hasn't changed either is it's always about persuading people to buy your brand, to love your products, and that hasn't changed either. And that's something we heard from Marina already as well, it's still about emotions. So think about your target customer, think about the emotions you want to tackle, because it's not only about AI and AI production, it's about you have to make sure what kind of emotions you trigger in customers and why customers come to you. So it's extremely important. And storytelling is still king. It's not about, here's my product, buy it, and here's a call to action. It is about storytelling, and stories are extremely important. So, I picked some trends. Yeah? That doesn't mean that everybody has to go now into former times, and former times are so good. But I chose some examples saying there are some trends on the internet you can tap into. You don't have to take these trends. There are other trends as well. And you have to find out what are the key trends, what are the emotions floating around, and what are you going to do. So nostalgia and escapism is one of them. Yeah? Because the world is so complicated, and because everybody's getting afraid of wars, of Trump and whatever we have, people often want to go to another world, escape, or they look back to something and say, oh, in former times everything was better. And then this whole thing about mental health and witchy content. My daughter told me, by the way. 3 daughters, and I showed her the presentation and asked her what she thinks, and she was like, oh, witchy content, that's something which is good. I'm like, okay, I'll take it out. And then also, what is extremely important, you have to be authentic, because people find out if you communicate something which is not attached to your brand and not attached to what you're really doing and just generated by somebody who said, oh, we have to be on Instagram, or we have to be on TikTok, or whatever we have to be, you have to be authentic. So there's a growing interest in mindfulness communication, and I have 2 examples for you which I really like. One of them is from Atlantic Grupa. This is a company I work for on the supervisory board in Croatia, and they are serving the whole region. And one of the things that is extremely important for this region is coffee drinking. They love to drink coffee. I don't know if you heard that the coffee prices went up extremely. Coffee prices went up extremely. We had to increase prices. People still drink the same amount of coffee. Chocolate went down, coffee they still drink. So the team came up with the idea to connect it to coffee fortune telling. Apparently this is something which was really popular in former times, and now they connected it to modern technology, and here's the case I want to show to you. So sometimes it helps to look at the past, put a modern angle into it, and then try to, playfully engage with the customers. And this campaign was extremely successful because engagement rate was very high, and people asked questions. They loved this fortune telling, and that is something which the team wants to take up again. It was a campaign from last year, but I think it was so successful that they will run it again this year. And why did the campaign work? First of all, and you saw it, it had a very strong brand presence. Coloring, in store, also on the app. I think the brand presence was really strong, and everybody knew it was a campaign from Bar Café. It was a deep emotional connection with customers because customers love Turkish coffee. Turkish coffee is deeply rooted into this storytelling, fortune telling, and that is something which people really appreciated. It boosted awareness and also inspired action. So it's not only about showing a campaign, but also getting people into action. They playfully got into contact with the brand. And it was a very smart use of technology without using the emotions. What I also like is that we had a lot of proud employees, because if you looked at LinkedIn, a lot of employees, and I have 2 examples here, posted about the campaign, and they're very proud they're part of the company and working for the brand. And the reason why I mentioned that is, if you use cross-media campaigns, so to speak, be sure that you are clear about the objectives. And in this case, I think it was really helpful because it increased reach and visibility, because a lot of employees posted about it. It enhanced trust and credibility, because if you as an employee say this is a great campaign and I love it and whatever, I think it's really good for the company itself. The employer brand is already extremely strong, but with cases like that, increases even more. And internal engagement and alignment was really high, and the coffee brand team in Atlantic Gruppa is a very proud team, and it helped them quite a lot in these times of rising prices, extremely difficult raw material situation, to have this point of, oh, we can make it, the customer is still with us, so we had some internal profit, so to speak, as well. So, homage to the past as a trend. That is something which is also, if you look at some internet sites or Instagram and TikTok, one of the things that is very popular right now. And there's a fashion brand, a French one, which is called Jacquemus, and I hope that I pronounce it correctly. Who are the French here? They help me maybe to pronounce it in a better way. The guy is known for his minimalist chic and provincial twist. And what he does as well is always integrating some surprising moments in those videos. Do you recall that the dress was in the door? Yeah? He always does little things like that in order to capture the attention again, because the videos are relatively slow, yeah? And you have the feeling, ooh, yeah? And then you have some tricky things where it's getting back to this, oh, pay attention, something is happening here. So I think that's also a very clever move of saying, A, I tap into the emotions of the people. B, I do it in a very authentic way because it's my family history, which I translate to the modern times. And he's using, in this case, TikTok in a way that people say, yes, this is authentic, and this is also a clever use of the platform. Yeah? So with that, I wanted to say nostalgia is a psychological, comforting, and especially for young people in turbulent times, very important. And I tested it with my three daughters, and they were like, yes, we really love this brand. And young creators reimagine eras they have never lived, which I also find very interesting. So for them, the past, they have never lived 50 years ago, but they're using those times, using the stories from their parents in order to retell them. Retro content stands out, so something which is different. And a lot of attention to detail, which Marina also mentioned, is important. So it's not just putting a video, so think about the details. And if you look at the results, within 3 days, the video has had 1 million views. And that is, in my eyes, quite a lot. And he didn't pay a lot of advertising money against it, so a lot of it is organic. So my summary. Consumers still continue to use brands they know and like and have an emotional connection to. Emotional narratives remain still central. Yes, you have to adapt to the platform, and Instagram works differently than TikTok, and it works differently than my LinkedIn example with the employees. But the whole thing about emotions and tapping into emotions is still very important, and it cannot be just reduced to, oh, we do an AI video and nice pictures. You have to tap into emotions. And there are some trends, and it might be that this is not the only trend, and your brand has to tap into another trend. But try to find out what the main trends in your line of business is, how you can use them, how you can connect them to your brand, and then tackle emotions that really resonate with the customer. And yes, advertising evolves, but human emotions and storytelling are still very important. And Marina and I discussed how we started working, 40 years ago or something, yeah? And I'm still coming from Unilever, and a Unilever world where we discussed brand keys and emotions and benefits lengthily. Yeah? That time you don't have today anymore, but you still have to start with a relatively strategic discussion. If you're in a smaller company, take a freelancer, make it simple. But strategy is first, target customer definition, and then find a story that resonates with your customers. That's still the truth we are working against. Thank you.
Thank you.